Okay, input system. There's lots of different ways to use the new input system, and they're all more confusing than the last. So this is one that I think works, and I think it should be fine. Okay, so this is basically a brand new scene. I've added a ground plane. I have added a physics material called ice, so it's really slippery, and I added it to there and put a ice material so that our ground plane was a different color than our cube. And here is going to be our player that's going to drive around on the ice. We'll have A and D turn the player, and W and S make it go forward and backwards. And the only thing I've done to this cube is I added a rigid body to it. And that should be that. What is this? I am going to take that off because that's from me testing. Okay, so the one thing about the new input system is when you open a new project, there will be an input system, what's it called? Input system actions file that will be in your asset folder. So you don't go to player settings anymore. This is where you get the sort of create new inputs and stuff like that is in this file here. And the first thing you want to do is click on it once, and in the inspector say generate C# class. You say yes, I want to do that. Leave this alone, input systems _ actions, because we'll use that when we're writing our code. And then we say apply, and it creates this C# script for us that we can refer to from our code. So now what we need is code that will talk to this input system. If you notice here, if we double click on it, it has a bunch of actions already created for us. Of course, we can make new actions, and we'll use move because it's already hooked up to WSAD, so that makes WASD, so that makes the most sense. Also has inputs for joysticks already imported into it, which is handy, and this is part of the reason we're using the new input system. So we'll use move and jump, but we can easily rename these or make our own if we wanted to, if we had a more complicated interactions, but we'll start here in any case. Okay, so I'm going to close that, and we need a script now that will go on our player that will grab that info from the new input system. Okay, so I'm going to say add component. I'm going to say new script. I'm going to say call it move player and create an add. I'm going to save it, and hopefully I'm not going to screw anything up. Okay. Is thinking about it, and now I'm going to have it still think about it, and now I'm going to go here, and there we go. Okay, so first thing that everyone forgets is that using UnityEngine.InputSystem, okay, without that, nothing will work, and you'll be very sad. And that's just telling it that we're going to be using the input. And we can get rid of all of this guy. And now we need a couple things. So we're going to need a vector that holds the incoming uppy, downy, and lefty, righty information. And so that can be a vector2. And we'll call it vector2, and we will call it move direction, just because we're boring. Okay, small en vector, thank you. Awesome, so that's set up, and now we need to call our talk to that new file that we just made. So we want public input system, copy paste here, and then it's actions and then we'll say, we'll call it. So this name has to be the same as the name of that file you just created. Okay, and that all looks beautiful. And now we're going to need, I might as well add let's make a move speed variable for moving our block around. Okay, and we are going to need a rigid body because we're going to be we have to push, we're going to use physics to push our player around, so you have to push the rigid body. And we can say private, yes please, and we can say always forget what to capitalize on rigid body. Okay, private rigid body RB. And now we need our input actions as separate variables. So private input action, we'll say move, lowercase move, and I'll spell that correctly also, input action, yes. Okay, looks excellent so far. And now we want to make sure void on enable. Yes. And we say player controls. Here we're actually attaching it, equals new input system actions. Okay, that looks good. And now we have to enable it. Enable. And when you do that, you have to go just so we don't forget. And we'll say disable there. So now we're not forgetting to do that. And we have to make sure what is move actually doing. So make that connection to the actual controller. So move equals player controls. Oops, what happened there? Oh, the AI assistant wants to help me. No, thank you. I'll say move equals player controls dot player dot move with a capital M. Okay, so that's going to be getting putting the actual player controls as that file. Player, you can have where there's already one for UI, so this is one for player, and then move is getting that actual input, and that's getting a vector 2 and putting it into putting that into the input action, and then we have to put that move variable into our move directions, and then we'll be able to get it. Yeah, I know, it's not awesome. Okay, so move directions will get move. Okay, and let's see. Do we have to put any start? Oh, we have to get our rigid body. Okay, rigid body RB equals, oops, BR. RB equals get component rigid body with a capital R, equals that guy equals these guys equals that guy. Okay, so that's going to get the actual rigid body on the box so we can move it around, putting it in RB. Okay, awesome. Now, in fixed update, let's make this fixed update. And we want to say move direction, which we've got here. This guy is going to equal move, which is this guy here, which is getting the actual controller. And we'll say move is that all I need to say? No. Read value. And then what am I reading? I'm reading the vector 2. And these guys go there. Okay, so that's going to be move direction is my vector 2. So this should contain uppy downy information and lefty righty information. And that will be in X and Y. So let's see. So that should be to turn it. And let's see if it actually does it. I'm going to save that. Let's go back over here, find out what horrors await us in the console. No horrors await us in the console. What are the odds? Okay, let's playing it. Okay, 0, 0, 0. I press A, it's -1. Press D, and it's 1. That's beautiful. Okay, so let's stop that. So of course now it's not turning it, but you know, that's half the battle. And let's see, how do we want to turn it? Let's turn it with transform.rotate. So transform.rotate. And what do we want to rotate? We want to rotate nothing around the X, and we want to move direction dot X times well, we could have a rotate speed, but we already have a move speed. We'll just use that, and then we can change it if we need to. And then 0.0 F. Oops, F. So that's going to rotate around not around the X and not around the Z, but around the Y. And it's going to rotate whatever our X input is, which is going to be the A and D. And we're going to put a semicolon there. Okay, well, let's see if that works. That's beautiful, except it doesn't work at all. Let's see, make sure our player variable actually, move speed is 0. Okay, let's make that 5. There it goes, beautiful. Okay, so now we need to make it go forward. And we can do the same thing. We can stop debugging that. And we need to push it forward. And so we need to push, we're going to push it with physics. We're rotating it, we're just rotating it directly in space. We could use torque and push to rotate, and maybe if we were doing a driving sim that would make more sense. but this works for now. But let's push it so that it's pushing with actual physics. So then we want to say RB dot add force, right? And we want it to go so whichever way it's facing, and we'll want it to multiply that by move direction y. That's going to be W and S, and we can multiply that by our variable move speed, which is here. And we want to that. So it's going to be sort of constantly pushing. If the W is 1, then it will multiply. This will become 1, and we'll multiply that by the speed, and we'll multiply that by whatever the forward vector is, and it should move along. Is that going to work? Let's test it out. I still don't have my move. Let's put this at 5 here, so we're not having to constantly change it. Okay. Now, obviously, because it's a cube, it's a little hard to tell which way it's facing, but oh, there it goes. Beautiful. Ah! Okay. I love it. So now let's, just for the sake of completeness, say we want to also have this game have a jump. So we can make our jump, and what we want to do with this is just so that we can get other controls, because the vector 2 WSAD or vector 2's a jump button would just be a Boolean, and you can do an event listener, so it can only listen. It will only activate that code when the button's been pressed. So it involves a little bit more code. So let's go here. Let's make another one, but call this one jump. Right? And player jump. Here. Players controls jump. But we need another line here too, and we can say jump dot performed plus equals jump. Alrighty, and let's call it jump event, just to keep things so that we don't have everything all named the same thing. Okay, so I made another input action. It's turned on because all the controls are turned on. I'm getting the jump variable, which is going to be the variable in here, and it's going to do jump event. So now we need a function called jumpEvent. So let's just stick it right here, just so we're void. Is it private? Probably doesn't matter. Okay. So and then here we're going to say input action dot callback context and then space and then context. Okay, so this is this call small a callback context. So this is creating that kind of like an event listener. So it's listening for that the jump button to be pressed, and that don't forget we have jump as already as one of the inputs in our new input system. Okay, so let's just see here if we can get it to print something. Okay, we'll get it to print the word jump, and let's see if that's even working. So go back here, have it compile. And I'm going to play it. Okay, press the space bar and it's saying jump. Okay, how do we know it's the space bar? If we go back here, double click on this guy, here's jump, and there's what it's set to as the space bar. So if we wanted to change that, we could change that in here. Or we can make our own and make it something else. If you wanted to, you just change that to a new thing and have it see the new thing. Okay. I'm happy with that. So now let's make it actually jump now. When we were pushing it, we're using add force, and we want to add force again to push it up. We want to make sure when we're doing that, I'm going to stick this down here now. When we're pushing it up, we want to make sure we want to do it not continuously, but just at one time, right? Let's we want to do something called force mode, change the force mode to impulse to push it. Okay, so we've got our rigid body, RB, and we're going to add force, and we want vector 3 dot up, so it'll push it up, and we're going to multiply that vector by let's say 5, I don't know, and we can make that a public variable, and then we'll say this is optional here, but this will make it work better, and then impulse. So anytime you're like throwing something, you need something to go all the energy goes all at once in one frame onto the thing. This is the forceMode.Impulse is the way to do that. I think that's going to work. Add force vector 3 up times 5. Let's just make a public. Oh. And this is a float, of course. And then jump force, and we'll make this times jump force. Okay, just so that we can muck with it. Shouldn't need that anymore. Shouldn't need that anymore. And I'll save these guys, and we'll jump back. And now I'm going to play it. So, still working that way, and let's try jumping. Oh, it's beautiful. So now you can see how one thing begets another. We've got the problem. We've got all sorts of problems, but it's fun. We're starting on our way. Okay, so that's it I think this is the easiest way to do it. It's a way to do it. There are player input components that you can put on, and then you just drag and drop. I think this is actually simpler and easier to expand, and it's good to know this method. The only really tricky part is this jump perform plus equals jump event, and that's creating its own callback that only happens when you actually jump. And you have to make sure that things like here, jump and move, are actually referencing actual inputs in your player input. But other than that, it's not so bad. As I said before, it does make it easier when you jump over and are starting to use joysticks or other kind of input devices. This makes it a lot simpler, and we can go into that in other tutorials. Okay, I'm done.